yourself to the side of the Lord. Humble yourself to the side of the Lord. And He will lift you up. And He will lift you up. Humble yourself to the side of the Lord.
That deals and centers around the differentiation between the soul and the spirit. What's really going on in the inner man. And I think a lot of us are maybe a little bit in periods of differentiation between one another. We know that in 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter and verse 15, Paul talks about the aspect of the inner person that's therein. And we begin to wonder about it. Well, who is that inner person? What is the inner person? Why is it so important? Because quite honestly, I think a lot of times we don't put a lot of emphasis on the inner person. We put a lot of emphasis on the outer person. There's a woman who has a commercial on TV. And I don't mean to be ugly about it. It's kind of interesting that I use that word because she created a cosmetics company. And she's not the most attractive person that ever was. Very dowdy. But she talks about her cosmetic line. And I'm thinking, well, if you want to sell your cosmetic line, why wouldn't you put somebody on that is utilizing your product? And that's something I ask all the time. But then it dawns on me that what I'm doing is the same thing I'm going to castigate people for in just a minute. And that is looking on the outer rather than the inner. I realize when I look in the mirror, I'm looking at a Bowser face. I know that. I'm not the most photogenic, charismatic person that ever came down the road. I know it. But I mean, I need to work harder on the inner man. And I think all of us do. That the inner man is really where we need to put the emphasis. You can do whatever you want to the outer man. And that woman is trying to sell other women on, I forget the name of her product. Jones Road? It doesn't matter. Linda said it doesn't matter. If Linda said it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But she can sell all that she wants. But what really is going to enhance us is free. But there's also a problem. And here's the problem. Because the inner man, well, let's go over to 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. And in 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter, go with me, if you would, into verse 14 beginning. 1 Corinthians 2:14. But a natural man does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. He cannot understand them because they are spiritually appraised. But he who is spiritual appraises all things, yet he himself is appraised by no man. For it is known the mind of the Lord that he should instruct him. But we have the mind of Christ. Because we have the mind of Christ, there is a conflict that's going on. Because our adversary does not want us to have the mind of Christ. So I watch TV and I see that one woman who touts her cosmetics. And I'm not saying cosmetics are wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But there's another woman who comes on and she says, I have created a new line of cosmetics for those individuals that are over 60 years old. I go, okay. Looks like you're over 60 years old. Apparently the cosmetics don't work for you either. And then I get mad at myself because I'm basing everything on physical. I'm just an empty shell of a person. And then I realize that I've got to fight this. I've got to fight it because there's a warfare going on. And it's not a warfare dealing with things like we would think of, nor is it the warfare between these two women on TV trying to hawk their goods. But there's a warfare inside each one of us. There's a battle for the mind. And it is a battle that we cannot lose. It's more than a mere game. I love chess. Linda and I used to play chess a lot. But what we're talking about is a lot more important than a game. And I know many in the congregation enjoy playing games. I do too. You guys don't invite me to game nights. And I know why. I always win. You disagree with that? Well, I always win, don't I? No, I don't. But I enjoy playing games. But what we're talking about is more than, a lot more important than who wins whatever game we may or may not be playing. Paul writes about it in the book of Romans, 7th chapter. And in that 7th chapter, notice what he points out in verse 14 beginning. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am in flesh, sold into bondage of sin. For that which I'm doing, I do not understand. For I'm not practicing what I would like to do, but I am doing the very thing that I hate. But if I do the very thing I do not wish to do, I agree with the law, confessing that it is good. Go down to verse 17. So now no longer I am the one doing it, but sin which indwells in me. So now down all the way through verse 25, he talks about the struggle that's going on. And it is a struggle between me and my archenemy. And my archenemy is Satan. And he's going to do everything he can to get to me. And he knows my weaknesses. At lunch, I was sitting there watching the baseball game. First or second pitch of the game, the batter hit it over the fence. And I'm saying to myself, how could you have thrown that pitch? You throw it up in the strike zone, it's going to get hit a long, long way. So already my team's down 1-0. I placed my order. My team's down 3-0. I start visiting with everybody else. Come back, my team's down 4-0. Then they're down even more. I go, wait a minute. Maybe the problem is I'm visiting with the people I'm visiting with. Maybe I should direct more attention to the game. No. And we do those types of irrational things. There is a warfare going on inside of you. Solomon writes, Proverbs 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. I need to understand one thing, that I've got to trust in God, first, foremost, and always. Because this battle that is going on inside of us is a battle of life and death. You also say to this people, thus says the Lord, behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. That's what Jeremiah was told to set forth to the people. In the book of Proverbs, the same thing is brought out. You have the power of life and death within your grasp. But if you go back to the book of Deuteronomy, and if you go into the 30th chapter, and you go into verse 15, the promise throughout this chapter is God will prosper you if you choose God. And so what you want to do is you want to choose life. You have those two choices, but it's going to be a battle. It's not going to be easy. Your adversary, the devil, he's going about, yes, seeking someone to devour. And so there is a conflict within you, and it is a battle for your mind. Your mind is an amazing thing. Your mind can help you deal with pain. Your mind can help you deal with heartache. Your mind can build scenarios that will take you to the depths of despair. Your mind. You've heard the phrase mind over matter. Well, when you begin to get your mind right, a lot of things really don't matter any longer. But it demands trust and confidence. In Deuteronomy 30, verse 15. See, I've said before you today, life and prosperity, and death and adversity. So what's he really saying? I've said before you, good and evil. That's really what he said. In fact, some translations say it just that way. But you have to choose. Now, at lunch, we were talking about getting in trouble in school. How long were you on detention? When did you start? What led to that situation? And I told Janice I was on triple indefinite, noon and after school. How I got there, I don't know, but I was, which means I should be back there right now serving my time. Triple indefinite. Mr. Smith told me that. But it was all because of a mind. And I was not of a mind to mind. But now when we're talking about the mind and the inner being and putting ourselves in reliance with God, we have to realize this is a battle we cannot lose. It's not for money. It's not for stuff. Your attitude is what the battle is all about. Your heart. It's all ultimately going to come down to whether you're at peace with yourself. And to be at peace with yourself means you're at peace with God. But it's also going to be a battle for your faith. And people don't realize that. They look at different things that come across their life on a day-by-day basis. And they don't realize that it is slowly but surely ebbing away at their faith. They begin to accept more and more things. Pretty soon their faith is beginning to be eroded. And you're not being attacked over tangible things. He's fighting you over things you cannot see. Paul was worried about it. Worried about it for the Corinthians. Spent a lot of time with them. But he knew their failings. He knew his own failings. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. Which makes it that much harder. How do you fight an enemy you can't see? Mention was made this morning about situations in society. I believe it was Elijah who asked Dan to remember something in his prayer. But when that was asked, I thought, okay, maybe Dan's praying about that situation in Palm Springs yesterday and the terrorism that was there. And I thought, oh, okay, the terrorism was at an abortion clinic. No. What I heard late last night, it wasn't. And so I'm going, well, was it all right if it was at an abortion clinic? The answer is no, it wouldn't have been all right. It was at a fertility clinic. Does that make it more so unacceptable? No. But yet, listening to the news, listening to the talking heads, they seem to think on one extreme or the other, that it's an acceptability quotient. It's not acceptable of any kind. But we have those things going throughout our society. Those things begin to erode at our faith. We begin to say, okay, well, I lean this way on this issue or that way on this issue. And I guess I can accept some. No. Wrong is wrong is wrong is wrong. And so what Satan wants us to do is incrementally begin to accept certain things. He's not going to get us to swallow the whole enchilada at once, but a little bit at a time. Rat poison. What is it, 98% cornmeal? I like cornbread. What I don't like is warfarin. I don't like that at all. Because that 2% of warfarin is what kills. I used to have to take rat killer, warfarin. And I would take it in such small doses, but yet there was still the concern that it would ultimately poison me or get my blood so thin I would bleed out. Well, over time, things do accumulate and they can cause real problems. So our warfare is harder because it is cerebral, it's spiritual, and we have to be mindful of it. James, on his part, talks about it. He said, you can't be double-minded. Well, how can you be double-minded? Well, you can have a mind in the world, mind being influenced by the things in the world, and a mind in service to Christ, and be confused as a result of where your allegiances lay. So have you put on the new man that's energized, active, or are you over here laying dormant? You can see on the overhead there's this unique little light bulb representative of the brain. One side dull, the other side full of light. We put on the new man. And when we do, when we put that new man on, oh, how wonderful it is. Because what we do then is we have a direction. We talked about it in the sermon this morning. We set our mind on things above. We have a battlefield going on. Truly a battlefield. Sometimes it's so strident that I simply stop, and in my head, I say, Satan, stop it. Knock it off. Be gone. Sometimes I don't just say it in my head, I say it verbally. And people will be around and they'll go, what? What'd you say? And my response is, oh, nothing. But it was really something quite important. We have to be watchful. We have to have that spiritual mindset. We have to embrace the truth. It did my heart good this morning And I hope she doesn't mind me picking her out. But Denise was hugging people. And I just thought, oh, that's so precious. So precious. Hug. To be drawn in. Embracing truth as we would embrace one another. Have you embraced the truth? Have you brought it close to you? Brought it close to your heart that you're sharing heart to heart? When I got out of the hospital, the first time when I had the ablation, and Linda hugged me, and that was what I thought of. Our hearts touching each other. Next time when I had the pacemaker put in, I thought the same thing. First pacemaker. And now that she's there for me again. Heart to heart. Embracing me. And then after the next one, and then the next one. But there's still that continuity there. Embracing. Have you embraced the truth? Do you have a relationship with it? And if so, what is that relationship? Because the only way you're going to win this battle is by embracing the truth. Because quite honestly, once you put on Christ, we talked about slavery this morning with children of Israel and being set free. We became, when we obeyed the gospel, servants of righteousness. It's all right. I don't mind. I look forward to it. I'm glad to be of service. It was done free will. My choice. So that's on one side. On the other side, you have carnality. You have Satan. Embracing falsehood. The old man of sin, all that he was about. Realize the enslavement to sin. And the mindset on the flesh. Now we could talk about each and every one of those. Lay it out in such graphic detail that would cause you to turn away from it just because of the graphic nature of the practice itself. But you know the difference. You know that the mindset on the flesh is death, but the mindset on the spirit is life and peace. So the question comes down to, who is it that we serve? Because we're going to do one or the other. Look at Romans 6:16. Do you not know that when you present yourselves to someone as slaves for obedience, you are slaves of the one whom you obey, either of sin resulting in death or obedience resulting in righteousness? There's only two choices. Which one are you going to choose? That's the battle. And Satan wants your brain. The Ghost of Frankenstein was on last night. And, it's classic. Lionel Atwell and all that. And they were going to transfer the brain of Dr. Frankenstein into the monster. But instead, easy for me to say. Transmitted and transported, thank you, was not the brain of Frankenstein's doctor, but that of Igor. And then when Igor began to talk, Igor, it's not son of Frankenstein or young Frankenstein. And they realized, Oh no, we made a mistake. The transplantation of the brain was the wrong one. What are we going to do? Horrors of horrors. Well, that's the question you've got to ask. What's been transplanted into your brain? 2 of them. 2 of them. There's one over here, righteousness, unrighteousness. Looking at young Frankenstein, is it going to be normal or abnormal? You don't want that one. You want that which is going to be consistent with God's word. Who do you obey? Your choice. Your choice. So you got two options. So this I say, therefore, and affirm with the Lord. They walk no longer just as the Gentiles also walk in the futility of their mind. Satan has their mind, body, and soul. In Ephesians 4:22, that in reference to your former manner of life, you lay aside the old self, which is being corrupted in accordance with lust and deceit. Now, all the way through that part of chapter 4 of Ephesians, he's talking about these choices and saying that's where the battle lies. You've got to choose, but there's only 2 choices. We want more choices, don't we? We'd love to have more choices. I made mention this morning, and I did have lunch. I'm not hungry, but I do make a lot of references to food. I apologize. But I made mention of how buffets are making a comeback because people want all the choices. What do you mean? I only got 2 choices? 31 flavors. What do you mean? You don't have 32? I want more choices. When it comes to the brain, there are 2. Which one are you going to serve? Which one are you going to find out that wants to lead your life? You can't surrender. Once you decide to follow after God, it's going to get harder. And you cannot ever surrender. Ephesians 6th chapter. Put on the whole armor of God. Why do you do that? You put on the whole armor of God that you might fight back, that you will not surrender. And we know all those. We're familiar with that section of verses. We talk about it so much. Therefore, take up the full armor of God, that you may be able to resist in the evil day. Having done everything to stand firm. Stand firm, therefore. Having girded your loins with the truth. Having put on the breastplate of righteousness. Having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. In addition to all, taking up the shield of faith, in which you will be able to extinguish all the flaming missiles of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. With all prayer and petition. Pray at all times in the Spirit. So what's he told us to do? He said, you got to fight back. Never surrender. Growing up in the Free Methodist Church, they had a youth group, and it was called Christian Youth Crusaders. And I was in it. And it was kind of the Free Methodist Church answer to the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. And we had a sash that we wore, and we would have to learn various things, apply certain things. But the badges and buttons we got were these right here. We'd get badges that depicted the breastplate of righteousness, the sword of the Spirit, the helmet of salvation, and so on. And we would do it in different levels. So young ones would get in one color. And then if they got older, they'd go to the next and get in that, and so on. And so you'd have your sash full of various color pins, indicating I know that I'm supposed to fight back. But the question always was there. You may know what to do, but are you doing it? Therefore, gird your minds for action. Keep sober in spirit. Fix your hope completely on the grace of God. Fix your hope. You know what to do. We know how to overcome it. We know how to be strong. We know how to fight. We know how to have the resolve. And we cannot, will not ever let Satan beat us. Let him win. We started out by looking at the chessboard, remember? Talking about how we like chess, or I like chess. Gwen's father, Bill Devendorf, is a chess master. He knows the various moves. He knows the defense to put up if you make this move or that move. I've played him a number of times. He beats me. I won't play him again because I beat him once. I beat him once. Last time I played him, I won't play him again. I told him that. He said, why won't you play me again? Because I can go out a winner. I want to go out a winner against Satan. And I'm not saying Bill Dorf is Satan or anything like that. Bill Devendorf. Bill Dorf, my name for him. He's not Satan, but I just use him as an example. I want to win against Satan. I want to know his tricks. And that's what happened when I beat Bill. He did a very traditional opening move. The gambit I saw, and I went, whoa, that's what he's doing. Here's how I combat it. So what I need to be is I need to be ever alert to watch the opening gambits of Satan so I can know how to fight back, because that's what I want to do. Look at 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Give me liberty. Well, I know that if I'm going to fight, I'm going to have to fight and utilize what the Spirit has provided, is what I'm going to do. So, Jesus said you've got to love the Lord with the intensity of our being, with our intellect, our emotion, our will. All of that. So what have I done? When I obeyed the gospel, I should have, I must have crucified the flesh with its desires. It's a big ask, but hopefully we did. The transformation of the mind is what we work on every day. And we walk by the Spirit. That's the will. The intellect, the emotion, and the will. And so as we engage in this battle, our physical body will be presented as a day-by-day sacrifice. It's going to be held in honor. We're not going to utilize it to debase ourselves. And that's what Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians 6, verses 19 and 20. Hold the body in honor. He wasn't talking about eating macrobiotic foods. He wasn't talking about in gestation of going out into a field and eating only that. He was talking about sexual propriety with the human body. You got to read the whole 6th chapter. That's what he was talking about. Once we do those things, once we enjoy the mind, the intellect, the emotion, the will, we're going to have peace and we're going to have joy unexpressible because we're winning. The victory will be ours. You can't give up. You can't give up. You got to see it through. I saw a picture of this kid, and it made me smile. And I thought, man, if ever anybody should give up, it should be that kid. But he's got that look in his face. You don't want to see me give up. Look of determination. Look of, I will see this through. Or some said, well, no, looks like he's about ready to break down and cry. But I didn't see that. So Paul writes, you can see it on the overhead, therefore we do not lose heart. But though our outer man is decaying, yet our inner man is being renewed day by day, for momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory, far beyond all comparison. While we look not at things which are seen, but at things which are not seen. Stop. Remember when we started this, I told you that this is a battle that's fought much harder because you do not see the enemy. The enemy is insidious. The enemy is going to come up and whack you upside the head. And it's going to cause you a lot of problems. But you're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to be resilient. You're going to have to lean on God. While we look at things not which are seen, but things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal. But the things which are not seen are eternal. What we're talking about is that which is eternal. So yeah, there is the battle for the mind. And I got a complete worksheet up here that I go, okay, well, here's the battle for the mind. And we could talk about, there's 30 things. I'm not going to do that to you. But there are 30 things. Guilt. Satan tries to get us to feel guilty. The answer for that is Psalms 103:12. He tries to get us angry. Oh, he tried to do that to Joy at lunch today when I passed the garlic rolls right in front of her nose. Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 9. No need to be angry. Fear. Maybe that's what she was feeling when that garlic went in front of her. But fear not. God said, I'm with you. We already looked at Deuteronomy. Division, sadness, quitting, confusion, bitterness, regret, loneliness, being overwhelmed, inadequacy. Like I said, 30 plus. He's coming at you. And he's going to try everything in his book. Because you're his target. He's got everybody else. He does not need to work on those in the world. There's no battle there. He's got them. But you, he's coming for you. He's coming for you. And you need to be prepared for that. Well, I don't mean to scare you, but I've been thinking about that for a while and thought, well, we need to be reminded of just how blessed we are that we have that we have God on our side and that we can overcome anything. Very much we can overcome anything because we don't stand alone. We stand with him on our side. If you would, turn to 186, and we'll use that as the closing song. Number 186. But every time we do gather together, we like to extend the gospel invitation to any who might have a need. No, the lesson this afternoon was not designed to show the plan of salvation. But I'll be more than happy to talk with anybody about it. But maybe you know you need to put Christ on in the waters of baptism for the remission of your sins. Be glad to assist you. Maybe you need the prayers of the congregation for strength, encouragement. If there's any spiritual way we can be of assistance, let it be.